Hello everyone, I'm Tracy and I'm part of the Tiny Pandora design team, and today I'm going to show you how I'm going to decorate one of these lovely compacts. So let's get to it. Okay, so I'll just show you the items that you will need to make this particular project today. You'll need some Magic Gloss, which is the Lisa Palvecca one. This is great because it's a UV resin, so it will cure very quickly. You'll want a piece of parchment paper. You want one of these water slides, which are lovely images, and you can get these from tinypandora.com, and they have various images. You can also get just the black and white ones. You're going to want a couple of blades, a fairly rigid one and a flexible blade. You're also going to want a texture sheet, and this one's the Lisa Palvecca, but you choose whichever you like or make your own textures. You'll want some clay, and I here have got the Primo Accents Antique Gold. And it does need to be the accents for this particular, because we're going to do a technique called mica shift. And you'll want a couple of tiles, and I'll explain that bit later. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is to make a texture into your sheet. You can use your roller for this. You can use anything you like, you know, just your hands like I'm doing. And you can check it. So just hold it in the middle and just see how deep it's going. So all I'm going to do now is I'm not going to move that piece. I'm just going to get my flexi blade and I'm just going to start shaving off the top, and you'll see in a moment that the image has been pushed into the clay and it gives it that sort of 3D effect. And what it means is when you want to use it, you can use it as a flat piece, which is really, really useful for what we want to do. So I will just carry on and take this off. Okay, so once you've taken it down to a level that you think's about right, and you'll like it, you like what you're seeing there, because as you can see, the image has managed to go quite deep. So I managed to take really just the top layer off. I'm just going to use my bit of parchment paper and just smooth that down as best I can with my fingers. But I will run it through my pasta machine, and I will run it through on a number 1, which was the thickness of the clay to start with, and then I will go down to a number 3. Okay, so I actually went down to a number 4 on my pasta machine, and as you can see, you can still see the image. And what I really like about this is it really does have that 3D effect. So all I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut out the circle or the amount that I need, and this is a 2-inch cutter. You can get these with some of the kits that come from the tinypandora.com. As I then get myself one of my little tiles, I will take this piece off the mat. I'm going to get myself one of my tiles. I will put this on, and I'm going to put the parchment paper on the top, and the reason I do that is so as it prevents this from going shiny, because I'm going to actually place the other tile on top, and then I will bake that for about 30 minutes at the recommended temperature, which for the Primo is 275. And once that's baked, let it cool, and then you can adhere it to your compact. So okay, so I've adhered my piece already once I let it dry to my compact, and for that I used a glue called Liquid Fusion. It is quite a heavy duty glue, but you can use, you know, a good super glue. I would recommend the gel. It's a little bit easier to use, but you can use the brush on ones as well, and they're really good too. But this is the one I used, and I did leave it to dry, and it does take about 2 to 4 hours to dry. So anyway, that's the glue I used. Now, once you get to this stage, you want to pick whichever slide you decide, water slide you want. So I quite like this image here. Now, I have no idea how it's going to come out on the gold. It may well be quite lost, I don't know, but I just quite like her. She looks a bit feisty, a bit like myself sometimes. Okay, so all you need to do is cut this out. And once you get to this stage, you just want to get yourself a little dish or something you can put some water in, and we're just going to set that in here, and we're just going to spray some water on top, just so, and it will do its bit of a funny thing here. But what you're doing is you're letting that image soak up the water, and you just want to make sure that you can get it quite nice, and it is just a case of sliding that image. Not quite yet, so let's get that a little bit wetter. Patience, that's what this is, patience. Not something I have a lot of sometimes, but obviously patience is a virtue, that's what I'm being told. It is just a case, not so good, but that's good that I can show you. So what I can do is I'm not going to lose that image. I'm going to actually see if I can still apply it. I'm just going to take that piece and lay it on, and I'll see if I can get the rest of it and see whether I can match it up. There we go. Never know. Oops. So this is what can happen. You have got a little bit of play time, so don't panic too much. Like me, don't give up. So there we are. And you know what? If it's got that little line or that little mark in the middle, don't worry too much about that. And there we go. So I'm quite pleased with that, considering it looked as if it was going to be an epic fail on my part. I'm just going to dab that very, very gently. And then I'm going to make sure that's nice and dry. And once it is, I will show you how to apply the Magic Gloss. So what I would recommend is that you stand your UV resin upside down, put it into a little cup or glass or something, just so as it minimises, I should say, the bubbles that you're going to get. You will still get some bubbles, and we can get rid of those. And I think I also mentioned that you have to have a 36 watt UV lamp. You don't have to have a 36 watt. It's just better if you do, because it will bake it better, I feel anyway. And also what I would recommend is once you get to this point, turn your UV lamp on. Gives it a chance for those bulbs to warm up, and it will work. Then it will start to work immediately you put the piece in. So all I'm going to do with this is run it around the edge, and it really is just about putting a little bit around the edge, and don't worry too much. It doesn't have to be perfect, but obviously the closer you can get it to the edge, the better. And we're just going to take that around, and this will prevent the pulling that you get when you try and do it initially, because when you use a UV resin like this, it will try and pull back. So if we can put it around the edge, then we'll do sort of infill it once we've cured this. That way you alleviate that problem, and it does make it that much nicer, and it means it goes right to the edge and you don't get that gap. So once you've done that, move your UV out of the way. And I know that with some of the Lisa Parveca UV resins that Tiny Pandora has, it comes with one of these wonderful little acrylic rods, and they are so useful. And but you can use anything. You can use a pin tool, you can use a toothpick, it doesn't matter. But if you've got one of these, treasure it, because I do. Excuse my arm while I reach across the camera. I'm just going to show you how I stand it. I made this little thingy thing, and I can just stand it in there afterwards so I don't lose it. So once you're happy that you're as close to the edge as you want to be, just let that sit for just a second. And then what you can do, if you're finding that you have got a few little air bubbles, you just need to get yourself a little flame, little torch. You can use the little ones that you use for barbecues or the hand ones, and just run it round, just checking. Some things won't matter, you know, if you're doing a nice little water effect, then I would say leave it, because I think the bubbles would work very well. So that's all I'm going to do at this point, and I'm now going to put it into my UV lamp, and I'll put it in there for about 5 minutes. Okay, so the ring around it is now cured. So now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just infill, and the easiest way to do that is to just start in the middle and start working its way out. And it will take, well, I wouldn't say a lot, but it does take a fair bit. But you just put enough to start with, just to allow it to go to that edge, and using your wonderful little tool, and just start slowly taking it out, and you will take it over the top of that ring that you've already put round. And it's very satisfying to see that it's going to stay where you put it, which is lovely. Such a great tip. And it was Teresa Salgado that came up with that, which was a brilliant idea. And it just enables it to go right to the edge without pulling back. But it is a wonderful UV resin this, and to be able to have something to cure that quickly is really great. So I'm a big fan. So you're just going to work it round, and you're just going to make sure you get right over to the edge. I'm just using your little tool, and like I say, don't worry at this stage if you get any air bubbles, because we can get rid of those. So just keep working it round, and as soon as we get to a point where we're happy, I'll come back and show you the end result. Okay, so here's the finished piece, and it had been under the UV lamp for about 15 minutes. You can put it under there for longer if you want to, but I think that's probably about right. Sometimes what I do as well is I'll just leave it on my windowsill, which has a lot of light come through, and that just helps to sort of really cure it a bit more, I suppose. But as you can see, it's not quite central there, but you know what, I'm not worried. I really like it. I think it has a sort of a quite a quirky, almost a vintagey type look to it. Needed my teeth in for that one. And here's a couple more, and I just absolutely adore them. There's so much you can do. It is absolutely endless how you can decorate these wonderful little compacts. So do take a look at tinypandora.com, and you can get a lot of the tools from there. So have some fun and post your pictures. Thank you.